Moving on, the US President Donald Trump's much-awaited fake news award list is finally out. US President Donald Trump took to Twitter to announce his winners of the fake news awards. The president tweeted a link to GOP.com for the full list, but the site crashed soon after and it said it was temporarily offline. CNN was mentioned at least 4 times in the list. CNN had reported that the Trump campaign had early access to hacked documents from WikiLeaks. The New York Times topped the president's fake news list, while Trump foes Time magazine and the Washington Post were also included. Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman, who writes a regular opinion column for the New York Times, nabbed the #1 spot for his prediction in 2016 that stock markets would never recover from Trump's win over Democrat Hillary Clinton. ABC News' Brian Ross's bungled report on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn won him the 2nd spot. Newsweek report that Polish First Lady Agata Kornhauser-Duda did not shake Trump's hand also made it to the list. Time magazine's report that Trump removed a bust of Martin Luther King Jr. from the Oval Office also made it to the list. The Washington Post's Dave Weigel tweeting that Trump's December rally in Pensacola, Florida wasn't packed with supporters also got him a spot in Trump's list. In a subsequent tweet, Trump said there are many great reporters he respects. He said, and I quote, "Despite some very corrupt and dishonest media coverage, there are many great reporters I respect and lots of good news for the American people to be proud of. ISIS is in retreat. Our economy is booming. Investments and jobs are pouring back into the country and so much more. Together, there is nothing we cannot overcome, even a very biased media. We are making America great again," unquote. Joining me on the broadcast is WION's senior foreign editor, Padma Rao. Good evening, Padma. This love-hate relationship between Donald Trump and the media in US continues.
Well, I think this is, a sort of a trend and a wave that has swept the world. This growing intolerance and this polarization. It's almost as if, and most of the media in Western countries, as well as, in fact, indeed even in India, I think has tended to be dominated by this so-called left-leaning liberal media, if you like. And this is the reason, and the rise of the conservatives around the world. This has happened not only in the United States, but it's also happened and is happening across Europe and indeed in India. And we saw something similar, this phenomenon, when Prime Minister Modi came to power. This sort of big hate wave and, kind of irresponsible reporting on events that had taken place.
Right.
And unwanted, unwarranted attacks on individuals in governments and administrations. I think this is very much part of the same pattern that emerged in the United States even before President Donald Trump was actually elected. In the run-up to the elections, we already saw this extreme polarization. So I think what President Trump is doing is really, just being the irrepressible Mr. Trump and hitting back. So the shoe's on the other foot now, and it's the turn of the media to be taken to the cleaners, if you like.
But Padma, can we expect a thaw between Trump and the media at some stage, or is this tone of the US president only going to get shriller?
Well, I'm an old cynic about the relationship between the media and establishments, political establishments, Raghavendra. I'm sure that as and when certain media concerns are required or needed by politicians, then they tend to, overlook certain things and tend to make up or make overtures towards them. And I think we could expect to see something along those lines, except that in the United States, there are still certain publications, both on the East and West Coast, which don't adhere or which do not belong to this genre of publications I was speaking about.
Right.
There are publications that have always had a conservative leaning.
Indeed.
And I think, I think the idea is that the media should be neutral in any country, and the politicians should also learn to, get as much as they give.
Absolutely. We'll leave it at that for the moment. Padma Rao, thank you so much for joining us with your perspective.